Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, March 19th, and welcome to episode 86 of Buds and Blue Jays, your place for all things related to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Jesse Burrell, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Riley McConnell. And Riley, what's up, man? How are you?
Like you said, beautiful Sunday afternoon here, nice and sunny out. Spring finally kind of showing its face around here. Officially underway World Baseball Classic, spring training. Baseball is just everywhere this time of year, man. It is a great time to be a baseball fan and talk baseball.
Absolutely. Today on our show, Riley, we are going to have a fun episode here today. We are deep into Blue Jays season preview mode, and this episode is going to be a fun one. We're going to get bold and spicy with some of our takes here, and we're going to go over our bold predictions for the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays season. Last year, Riley, we had some real fun predictions, including Matt Chapman having a monster power season, which didn't quite happen, but it was fun to talk about, or Nate Pearson setting hardest pitch records, which also didn't happen. But we did nail one bold prediction, Riley. We called a Whit Merrifield trade at the start of last season, so we didn't get shut out there. So I'm thinking one of our bold predictions that we make here today might actually come true, and I'm looking forward to that and see what it is. But if you guys are new here, guys, first of all, welcome to the channel. What took you guys so long? And we have one more episode before we get into our official season. That'll be our official Toronto Blue Jays season preview, so make sure you get ready for that one. And during the season, if you haven't been with us before, Riley and I like to do recaps after each series, talk about some of the players that have impressed us, what are the big storylines. We do updates on our players and the guys we were watching, injury updates, and we give our recaps after each and every series about twice a week. So guys, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you can follow along with the Blue Jays season all season long. Hit that subscribe button. And if YouTube or your podcast streaming platform isn't enough, you can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, so you can be locked in with your Toronto Blue Jays just like us all season long. But Riley, with that being said, formalities out of the way, we got no time to waste, man. Let's get right into our bold prediction and take us away, Riley, with the first bold prediction for the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays.
Man, let's not dip our feet in the water with this. Let's just cannonball right into, what a hot take is with this Toronto Blue Jays team. And I'm just going to jump right into the water, dude. My first bold prediction is that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to win the American League MVP in 2023. I mean, it's going to take a lot for this to happen. One of those things, Shohei Ohtani is not going to have the better offensive season or the best pitching season of his career for that to happen, really, with a two-way player like him in the league. But for this to happen, I mean, 48 home runs for Vlad. Let's repeat that from 2021. I mean, as far as the runs batted in, the batting average, everything like that. So far in spring, everything's looking good. I mean, he's taken his at-bats. His launch angle looks absolutely fantastic so far. It kind of gave us a scare. I guess I should have let in with, I was worried that he was injured. I mean, his first game back, he kind of disproved that there was anything really wrong with him. Still kind of watch that for the rest of spring, though, Vlad, I guess. But you want to talk about a guy who, before a game has even been played in the season, who has a chance to rack up hardware and to put up some crooked numbers. That's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, this is why we got this guy in the first place. Like, he's an absolute superstar in the MLB. He's been a staple for the Blue Jays since he arrived on the major league club. And I mean, to be honest, Jesse, last year, of course, it will buy in my books is going to be an asterisk in his on his player card for kind of his power numbers. I really think that it was just kind of a small step back, but I think we can look forward to something close to the 2021 stats as far as the power goes. I mean, let's be honest, he was still really good last year. He just wasn't his superstar self, and I think this year he's going to take a big step forward as comparing to last year and hit around 45 to 50 home runs. For him to hit 50 would be excellent. I'm saying it's above 45. We're going to look for a batting average at least 280. We're going to see an on-base percentage, I mean, of 360, 370 numbers with the walks he's going to draw. And as far as his defense go, Jesse, thank you for, doing your magic work on Twitter. Led the American League in scoops for first baseman and captured Gold Glove. I mean, you can't really benefit a team a whole lot playing first base, but when you can win a Gold Glove and play outstanding first base for a team, it certainly makes it better. Yeah, man. I mean, how else are you going to start this off? You want to talk to Toronto Blue Jays, you got to talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. first. And yeah, man, I mean, let's be honest, he's in stiff competition. Judge just had one of the best statistical years since Barry Bonds, as far as the bat goes, and he captured the MVP easy. And then before that, Shohei had to compete with him, and Shohei was absolutely fantastic. But I think this is Vladdy's year for doing things and doing things right. He's going to have a monster year with the Batman, and he's gonna carry this team an awful long way, man. Jesse, thoughts? I know I kind of just threw a lot at you, man, but this is we want to do hot takes. You want to do a bold prediction. It's not even in my books and a lot of Jays fans. It's not even too bold. Things just have to go right for Vladdy.
I mean, if any player on the Toronto Blue Jays is going to do it, it's probably going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And look at the things we talked about all last year and all throughout the offseason. We want to get Vladdy back to that MVP level. Well, what does he got to do, Riley? One, he's got to stay healthy, and he's already back in spring games. He's running the base as well. Everything seems fine on that respect. His defense and base running got a lot better last year, and we always said increase the launch angle. And I know it's a small sample size in spring, but he's hit guys like David Bednar, who's an all-star for home runs, Drew Rasmussen, who's a good part of Tampa's rotation. He's already taken him deep. He had a double off the wall in his first game back, and the launch angle, Riley, is over 15 degrees, which was 9.1 in his MVP caliber season in 2021. So if that number is even higher this year, Vladdy could set monster records, and I think you kind of nailed the head on the coffin there of what it's going to take for Vladdy to win MVP. He's going to have an Aaron Judge-esque season. Maybe not so much 60 home runs, but he might have to get into the 50s range or so, because Shohei Ohtani is still really good. There are a lot of good players in the American League, so to speak, but yeah, if we're looking for hot takes to start the show, I really like that one. And I guess that'll kind of tail into my first hot take here, which is very similar to yours because it's about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as well. And it's one I said last year. It didn't happen, but I wanted to add on a little bit to it here. And that's one that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will set the record for the hardest hit baseball in the StatCast era this season. And I love this one, Riley, because Vlad has always been an exit velocity machine. We saw it through his whole minor league career, and he's been like top 3% in max exit velocity every single year he's come to the major leagues as well. So he can do it, Riley, and is still only 24 years old. He's just getting into better shape. He's filling out his body muscularly. Like, it's going to happen, Riley. The all-time record was set just last year by Pirates shortstop O'Neill Cruz, who hit a baseball 122.4. Vladdy's hardest he's ever hit is 118.9, so he does have to get some muscle in there and get it working. But I could see it. It could be a warm, humid night. Maybe we're down in Texas in like July or August, and all the pieces swing together. Vladdy gets a fast pitch, and he can just rope one. I can really see Vladdy doing it, especially if he's on a heater, especially if he's putting up an MVP-like season, that this can all come together for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this year, and I can't wait to see it.
I love that. I love how you pulled that O'Neill Cruz there, because I was watching that game, and I would have not guessed. I knew he roped that ball. I think it went for a single into right field. I think it was hit so damn hard, Jesse. They didn't have. In right field, it was extraordinary. And then of course they show everything like that. I can certainly see that for Vladdy. And I think it's the same business. If he's going to hit a ball hard, it might be a lower launch angle. And he could rope one right over the wall. And like you said, right in Arlington or something like that. That would be fantastic.
Riley, he could take
the head off. It's not far-fetched, man. And O'Neill Cruz is a guy who's 6 foot. He's 6'7", O'Neill Cruz. Yes. I mean, he's got him by almost a foot. He's guy's huge.
Like, he could take the head off a third baseman by roping a line drive down there. Like, you talk about the hot corner. If Vladdy's roping 122-mile-per-hour nukes at you, that could be even worse. So, third baseman in the American League, beware, because Vladdy's coming on a mission this year, sending baseballs at you.
Yeah, Vladdy is like, I mean, what can't he really do? Obviously, he's not going to put up 30 steals, Jesse, but a guy who's got the tools that he has, that amazing power he has, is going to rope a lot of baseballs. Let's swap sides of the ball here, Jesse.
Yes. Okay.
Let's talk pitching for just a moment.
Let's do it.
Move into my second bold take. Kind of an arbitrary thing to toss around, but I mean, Jesse, we had a guy 2 years ago finish. I mean, runner-up in MVP voting. I mean, that's pretty good. But then let's take it back to next year, man. And we see Alek Manoah finishes third in Cy Young. Arguably, I mean, Cease had a good year, but who's going to have a better upside? I think Manoah, and I think this year it's going to be another matchup between those two. Now, you throw DeGrom into the American League now, playing for the Texas Rangers. What kind of Jake DeGrom are we going to get? I mean, a lot of speculation if his health is even 100% there. How many innings is this guy going to throw? I mean, at this point, it does matter. But I really think I'm going to jump right into my second one, and I think it's kind of 1A or 1B. I don't think of both of them happening, but there's a really good chance. I don't care what the numbers say to back it up on Alek Manoah, but I think this year he has a real good chance to win the American League Cy Young, and I know I'm not alone for that one. At least finish in the top 3 in voting again, and a leader in obviously some of the major categories. I think it's ridiculous the predictions on this guy. There is no real sign in his game that he is regressing at all. He just had his first full season last year and was absolutely one of the best pitchers in baseball, arguably the best pitcher in the American League East. I mean, if you're gonna really break it down, and I mean that's a division where pitching is almost mandatory to win ball games and win that division. Well, I mean, look no further. Alek Manoah, when he first came up with us, was an absolute stud. You could not spin it two ways. I mean, the amount of really not good starts compared to quality starts, it's not even close. This guy is going to give you innings. This guy is going to give you soft contact. He's going to throw nasty pitches. He's going to get some good strikeout numbers. Alek Manoah is just the quintessential ace for us right now. And I mean, he's surrounded by a lot of good guys, but he will be our opening day starter. I mean, he has to be at this point. You finished third in Cy Young voting, and you pretty much have to take the mound for game one. I mean, he's going to repeat. I'm not going to go too bold and say he's going to win the Cy Young. I think spin a wheel at it, and he's got about a 30% chance to win it, but he's definitely finishing in the top 3 in Cy Young again this year, and he's going to be a big part in major categories. Going to finish with a whip. I'm not going to say sub 1, but he's going to finish with a walks and hit per 9 innings, around 1, and have just another disgustingly good earned run average and all his numbers around that to back it up. Guy's got already great metrics and just really less than 2 full seasons in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and Alek Manoah is still super young. I think he's only 23, 24 years old too. So like he's got that on his side too. The thing that worries me about Alek Manoah, right, and he's great. Don't get me wrong. Love Alek Manoah. He was awesome for the team all last year. Is that he really relies on soft contact and suppressing home runs a little bit. Now, with the balls being dejuiced, you're right. Those fly balls he gives up might actually turn to outs more often than their home runs, and he could be even better. And Alek Manoah really does have the like bulldog personality. Like, I'm better than you. I'm going to get you out. Like, come and try to hit me. Like, you can't. My stuff is so good. So there's always that too. But teams have kind of, I don't want to say you figured out Alek Manoah because you can't figure out Alek Manoah, but a lot of teams have been stacking their left-handed hitters against him. And maybe, just he doesn't get as lucky. Maybe there's a little bit more hard hit balls against him. I don't know. I think Alek Manoah is going to be very good, but he's not actually my pick to win AL Cy Young. In fact, there is a different Toronto Blue Jay pitcher on this staff that I think is going to win the AL Cy Young this year. And this one, Riley, this is the one bold prediction I have that I am the most confident in. And like, Alek Manoah can't win Cy Young this year, Riley, because this guy is going to win the Cy Young award this year. And that is Kevin Gausman, Riley. And look, let's look at last year. Kevin Gausman's first full year in Toronto. He had a 3.35 ERA, a 1.24 whip over about 174 innings pitched or so. But Riley, look under the hood at the advanced metrics that Kevin Gausman was putting together. He was even better than this. His FIP, Riley, 2.38, which was second best out of all qualified pitchers in all of baseball, behind only Carlos Rodon. His walks dropped to the lowest of his career. His strikeouts were pretty darn good. And we've talked about this before, right? The 363 BABIP against was the highest of all time since they kept keeping track of this. Not only that, the Blue Jays defense behind him had a negative 10 outs above average, which is by far the worst on the team. The second worst behind him was Mitch White at negative 2. So there was like a 8 outs above average difference there between the defense behind Kevin Gausman and the defense behind the next best pitcher. That's going to get better as well. So the defense behind Kevin Gausman is going to get better. But wait, Riley, there's more. Well, I'm not done here. There is a new real complicated metric here, and it's called Stuff Plus. But what it does, it basically goes into how good a pitcher's stuff is. Kevin Gausman's last year was 6th best in the American League. So his stuff was already very good, Riley. It's gotten better this spring based on some metrics and stuff for Kevin Gausman. So Kevin Gausman's stuff has gotten even better. The defense behind him is going to be even better, Riley. He had a 2.83 FIP last year. That could be even better this year. I'm saying Kevin Gausman could have an ERA in the low 2s, if not the high 1s, Riley. And if that happens, Kevin Gausman is going to be your Cy Young Award winner this year, and I don't really think it's going to be close. Lock this one in, Riley. How about that for a hot take for you?
I love the confidence right off the bat. I mean, wow. I at the end of the day, we just gave two cases for our guys who are going to be 1A, 1B for us. And I don't care who wins a Cy Young. If we get a pitcher who wins a Cy Young for us, I will be over the moon happy, because two very different guys, two very different routes right now. One guy who started his career not very not long ago, but in a distant past, Kevin Gausman with the Orioles, and didn't fare too well. And then Alek Manoah has been great since he stepped foot and toed the rubber for the Toronto Blue Jays. But still has gotten us to the same point. 2023, you want to talk about elite pitchers in the American League. I mean, look no further. We have two of them in Gausman and Alek Manoah. So, I mean, is it a bold take, or is it just digging deep and thinking that, yeah, like, look at the lack of support Gausman got versus how he's actually getting better? I mean, I'm on board with that, Jesse. I'm really on board with that. Let's keep in the theme of pitching here.
Just before we move on,
really
Riley,
gonna
to the
need
next
you.
one, I got one more point I want to make on Kevin Gausman here. The only thing I think that could like maybe derail his Cy Young track here is now with like the new pitch clock rules and the pitch clock stuff coming in, he did have to modify his delivery, right? He can't do that little tap on the front of his foot while he rocks and gets set, right? And if you have to change a pitcher's delivery, maybe then it could affect the guys. He was quoted about maybe 2 weeks ago now saying, hey, he's still not used to the pitch clock. This is going to be an adjustment for him. And because he was made an example out of Major League Baseball, umpires are probably going to be watching Kevin Gausman more. So he might have more balks, I guess, this year. And that can be bad. If there's a runner on third and you balk, that's a run scored. If there's a runner on first, you balk him over to second base, then one of those blue hits scores him. So maybe the earned run ERA is a little bit elevated because of that. But again, I don't think it's going to matter. I'm really locked in on Kevin Gausman as a Cy Young Award winner. So any thoughts on that before you get into your next one?
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, it's like I said, it's a 1A, 1B thing, man. If it's not Manoah, I mean, I'd be very happy if it was Kevin Gausman, and the other way around. I mean, stats don't lie, man. And Kevin Gausman had a great year last year, despite he still had a great year despite his stats could have been a lot better. So I really hope that the defense that we have added behind him, gets him better outs above average. And I mean, because second best fit behind Carlos Rodon. What Carlos Rodon do last year? I mean, fantastic stuff with the Giants. So let's see if he can get that, luck bestowed upon him. Because there is obvious skill that goes into winning big hardware in MLB, but there's also a little bit of luck hinted behind it as well. So if he could maybe be one of the more lucky, at least in the top 50% of lucky pitchers, not in the bottom 1% for luck pitchers, because I feel like those numbers will be fairly accurate as far as Kevin Gausman goes. But yeah, be very happy with both of them. We saw, a couple years ago that it was Vlad Jr. first in AL voting, and then another teammate of his, Marcus Semien, finishing third. So maybe something like that for the Cy Young, Jesse, would be extraordinarily cool. What Jesse and I know, I mean, we'll see. I mean, hey, we know a little bit, maybe not enough to Nostradamus it and predict the future. But Jesse, I'm gonna keep on the topic of pitching.
Go with it. What you got?
And this one might sit a little bit worse. This might take a minute. So when I hit this on your palate, just kind of sit there and digest it a little bit. We've talked about our two biggest guys. One of them going to be our opening day starter. Let's talk about last year's opening day starter for a second, Jesse. And no, I'm not about to say something ridiculous that I will regret. Let's be realistic here. I love Jose Barrios. I was super happy when he appeared on this ball club, man. But with a +5 earned run average and a whip of 1.42, I believe it was, those are unacceptable numbers. His career numbers with Minnesota much better. He hasn't, by far his worst year in the major leagues since his sample size rookie campaign, or part rookie campaign. I don't know if 7 or 8, 14 games starts. So yeah, he had a rookie campaign, but it's basically his worst season, Jesse, his worst full season.
Yep,
and I'm going to predict this year, Jesse, around you want to average his numbers out. I'm going to say that he finishes around a 4.15 earned run average and a 1.27 whip. I don't know the wins and losses. He's going to walk a lot less batters. He's going to have more than, 160 strikeouts. I think last year was really low despite a couple games. And wins, losses, I think probably around 12-7 again. Let's probably not lead the league in home runs given up.
Yeah, that sounds bad, right?
He's not going to be as bad. He was one of the worst, if not the worst, qualified starter in all of baseball last year. There was Josiah Gray, I think, was pretty bad. Jose Barrios right up there too. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say he's going to finish with a whip around 1.27. and an earned run average around 420. I don't think that's asking for too much. I don't know what the numbers say to back that up coming into this year, but I don't think I'm too far off. Because there's no way he's going to put up a 5 earned run average because just baseball gods don't allow it, Jesse. I see you give me those smirks, man. Let's get something from Jose Barrios this year, man. We need him in our 4 spot. We need to get pumped up about him. We need to, live a little bit here. 1 year, yes, it was bad, but we got to kind of get in his corner, support this guy.
Riley, man, there are 2 things you could say about this. One, you could say like, well, you think he's going to pitch to his career line? How was that bold, right? But coming off the season he just had, I'd say that's pretty bold, Riley. And, we talked a lot about Jose Barrios on our last episode, right? Because he was the Blue Jays' single biggest X factor for how well he's going to perform this season. So I don't want to get into it too much here, but I will say, looking back at that WBC start he just had against Venezuela, he was throwing get-me-over curveballs for first pitches. He was attacking right-handed hitters inside. That's something Barrios didn't do a lot of last year, so I don't know if that's just Yadier Molina and company telling Barrios how he wants to do, or if that was Pete Walker and company telling Barrios what to do. I don't know. I think they got in his head, and that's not what they have in mind for Jose Barrios while he's pitching with the Blue Jays this summer, so I'm kind of throwing out that WBC start more and more. But Riley, if Barrios is going to get to the guy where he is, with these numbers you said he's going to put up, he's got to locate those pitches better. He has to. He can't be leaving fastballs right over the middle of the plate. His stuff is good. Riley, he threw the single individualist nastiest pitch last year, so we know it's there. He had 2 14 strikeout games. The good Jose Barrios is still in there somewhere. It's just how in the world do we get it out? And I personally, man, I think I'm losing faith. I don't know until we see it, man. I really have a hard time believing he's going to be able to come back, at least all the way back to the guy that he was. But I'm glad that you have more faith here, and I will pleasantly eat this L if he does come back to being that guy.
I would be lying if I said I bought a whole lot of stock on Jose Barrios before saying this comment. If he could just be his career average, would be absolutely fantastic. And for asking that out of a four guy that we're paying $20 million to, lying if I said he did not have his work cut out for him. He does, man. But since last year, it is only going to go up for him, Jesse.
Good.
I will live by that and die by that as far as this year goes, man. If I look back at this at a later date and look like an idiot, then I would be very surprised. But I sincerely do not think that he is going to put up those numbers like he did last year, man. I think it's going to be, I'm not going to say it, compared to last year, it's going to be a much better year, but a more career average year for Jose Barrios, man. That's what we want. That's what we need. And that's what's going to happen. That's my bold prediction. It's crazy to say bold prediction, but that's what we're going to get out of Barrios.
Riley, I hope so. We want to manifest that positive energy out there. Let's make it happen. Let's get good things for Jose Barrios this year. And I guess if we're talking about one pitcher who struggled last year, we should probably talk about another pitcher who struggled last year. And that's my guy, jersey on the wall, Yusei Kikuchi, Riley. And my bold prediction, Yusei Kikuchi will lead the American League in strikeouts per 9 innings. So K per 9. And Riley, I want to start this by saying I will never quit Yusei Kikuchi. Just full stop, full period right there. And here's my reasoning behind this bold prediction is his strikeouts actually took a step forward in 2022, while everything else around Yusei Kikuchi fell apart, right? So his 11.09 K per 9 was in the top 50 in all of baseball last year. And the main reason I think that number can increase and go up is because his changeup, Riley, had a 42.9% K percentage last year, and he only used it 13% of the time in 2022. So if that number increases, which it has so far this spring, and he uses that as a more strikeout pitch, he can be a more strikeout pitcher. Plus, Riley, if the Jays are only going to limit Yusei Kikuchi's outings to go maybe 2 times through the order, he's only ever going to go 4 innings, 5 innings at a time, and he can rack up 7 through 9 Ks pretty easily in those 4 or 5 innings. So I think that math equation kind of adds up. So Yusei Kikuchi can do really good in K per 9. So that's what I believe for Yusei Kikuchi. Let's do it. Let's have your bounce back season. I want to see Kikuchi jerseys, more than just mine, all over the Rogers Center this season. I can't wait. Let's get the hype going for Yusei Kikuchi and be a stable force for this pitching rotation.
He has suffered the same fate as Berrios, and I will buy into that a ton, Jesse, because things can only really go up. Realistically, things can only really go up. He's got probably going to have a brand new pitch kind of selection, the way he attacks batters. Maybe
Seems
not
like
brand new, but a refined one. That going along with a brand new beard, I think it's going to be very helpful as well. So we'll see if the beard, does anything for Yusei Kikuchi. Yusei Kikuchi is a guy who's going to strike a lot of guys out. If you were to say that, hey, his trends do not lie on the strikeout. And as far as if he is a guy, which we both believe in, that he's not a guy who's going to go the distance in a ball game. He's going to be hit around way too often at a point in the ball game. It's just going to happen. I mean, maybe a couple games this year, he really gets a grip and goes deep into the game. But for the most part, 2 times through the order, we agree on that, Jesse. You're going to have, limited innings and, a handful of strikeouts. You put that into a K per 9. And I mean, it could be something ridiculous like 13, 14 Ks per 9, depending on the start he gets, Jesse. So, I mean, it's happened before. And if he goes every 5 starts and, does the same thing, and we see different relievers, I mean, he's basically going to get, by the end of the year, nowhere near 200 innings, maybe 145 to 155 innings pitched. I mean, in the strikeouts, probably even less innings than that, to be honest with you. But he's going to have a lot of strikeouts in those innings pitched, and if it results into I'm with you, man. 12 or 13 strikeouts per 9 would be just beautiful, man. Should be very close to the top of baseball. Really, of course, league dependent. But among starting pitchers, relief pitchers can be wacky sometimes. I mean, you can see guy with 16 Ks per 9, depending on the year they have. But for qualified starters, we see that at a Kikuchi, then something very right has happened.
Riley, I think we're on a roll here. We got 6 bold predictions down. We got 4 more to go, plus some honorable mentions. I'm feeling good. What are you guys feeling at home? You like these ones? You hate them? What's some of your bold predictions? Drop them down below, Riley. But we're over the halfway point now. Give me another one. We got them coming hot and heavy here. Give us another bold prediction.
Not even hot. Let's just follow a trend, man. I mean, I always say this, baseball got laws and averages. I preach this crap, man. But let's talk about how that actually is backed up. And this is a case where I'm going to refer to Bo Bichette.
Okay.
The way he finished this ball season this year for the Blue Jays, I mean, he had very cold months of the year and then finished the year on a real hot note. Bo Bichette leads the American League as a shortstop for hits for the 3rd consecutive shortstop.
Love that. Let's go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Let's keep going.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Listen, man, I'm well into knowing Bo Bichette's strengths and weaknesses on the ball diamond. And one of those, man, is just attacking pitches, man. And if Bo Bichette can do that again, I mean, not only could he lead the American League in hits, here's my real hot take, Jesse. I mean, he's floated around 198, 191 hits. I think that he can hit the 200 mark this year. I think that's good enough to lead Major League Baseball, and 200 hits in a season looks fantastic. I think that Mr. Bo Bichette's going to do that. I don't know there's going to be a ton of extra base hits attached to that. We saw last year, he had a monster year as far as the extra base hits, but only 24 home runs. Is he going to be a guy that hits 30 home runs? Not part of my bold take, just a thought. I mean, if he has 200 hits, how many of those are home runs? How many of those are extra base hits? But that's my bold take, really, is that Bo Bichette is going to walk in to next year, kind of maybe hit the ground running or do Bo Bichette things. and, lead the American League in hits, third year in a row, and accumulate 200 or more. I'm going to say right around 200 hits.
Yeah, Riley, it's going to be interesting. I want to throw a percent chance out there. If I told you Bo Bichette has a blank percent chance of winning AL MVP, what number would you put that at?
I would say probably a 5% chance, in all honesty.
Pretty good.
I'd say 5%. Right? Yeah, I like. Yeah, there's a lot of things. So I think 5% better than a lot of other players in the league.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to say this isn't one of my official bold predictions, Riley, but could you see a world where it all comes together for Bo Bichette? Like, he starts pulling the fastball. He's able to really be a true all fields approach player. He's able to get that power. Maybe he gets to about 30 home runs, and maybe the defense takes a step better. Maybe the sprint speed steps up. Like, there is a non-zero chance, Riley, Bo Bichette puts up an 8-WAR season. And if that happens, Riley, he's going to be up there for MVP. And I know we've said it on our last episode and we said it before. It just feels like Bo Bichette is so close to becoming that full breakout pure hitter. And if he's the guy that we had in the months of September last year, all season, then yeah, Bo Bichette could be that guy. He's going to easily clear the 200 plus hits. He's just going to stay healthy and on the field. And he could really be a monster this season to help carry the Blue Jays. I kind of like that bold call.
Of course, I like it too. I've been feasting on that almost all winter long. I'm going to go back for a second and say, Jesse, that you're right. A lot of things have to click for an MVP, and who knows if we're still airing here in the next 4 or 5 years. I mean, we're close, man. Bo's going to refine his game. He is only going to get better in a lot of facets of the game. We'll one day be talking about, Bo Bichette receiving MVP votes, and not just a third place somewhere. I mean, there's more to his career that meets the eye for right now. But for right now, let's just talk small scale stuff like 200 hits or something. I mean, yeah. I don't know, but he's gonna have a monster year, dude. Again, I don't know how many home runs. If he hit 30 home runs, man, that would be pretty big. And who knows with the stolen bases. I know he did take a step back, only 13 steals, but let's see what happens. I got Bo Bichette down for 200 hits though, Jesse. If he does that, it will be fantastic. What do you got for me, Jesse? What do you got for me?
2 more official takes. And Riley, I'm going to let you decide where I want to go. Do you want to go with a guy currently on the big league roster, or do you want to go with an up-and-coming Blue Jay? Which one do you want to hear next?
So we'll set this up for you. We'll start on our major league roster right now.
Yeah. Deal.
And then we'll hit the future later.
All right, so this is a guy we haven't talked about much on our last few episodes, but could be a very key factor into the Toronto Blue Jays. And this one is about Brandon Belt, Riley. And off the top of your head, can you name some of the best Blue Jays left-handed hitters in team history? Just give me 2 or 3.
Oh, well, I'll give you 2 right off the bat. Yeah. Olerud and Delgado.
Yeah, Delgado is the big one, who's the big power things. And my bold prediction here, Riley, is Brandon Belt will finish top 3 in home runs by a left-handed hitter in Blue Jays history. Now, Carlos Delgado hit like 38 home runs 5+ times. So I'm only counting Delgado as one name on this spot. So I am kind of cheating a little bit here. But the other names on this list by a left-handed hitter to hit home runs, Delgado hit 44 at his most in 1999. Sean Green hit 42 in 1999 as well. Fred McGriff is third. He hit 36 in 1989. Adam Lind hit 35 in 2009. And Brad Fulmer, who I didn't even know who he was, hit 32 home runs in the year 2000. So I'd say Brandon Belt can probably get into at least that top 5 at minimum. I'm going to bet he could probably surpass Fred McGriff at 36. And if everything goes well with Brandon Belt, with the shift restrictions, with the new dimensions at Rogers Center, maybe he's just recovered from his hip injury, and he's back to like the 2020, 2021 Brandon Belt, then this could all go together. The only way this is going to happen though, Riley, is Brandon Belt needs to prove he can hit the fastball well and that he can hit left-handed pitchers well. So I looked it up to thought, is this one of those things where the teams are just going to throw lefties at him? But Brandon Belt's actually hit pretty well against lefties in his career. He's a 243 hitter, a 109 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. So all he has to do is hit that line against lefties for the season, and Brandon Belt could be in the lineup every day, and he has the potential to mash to find his way on this list at some point by season's end. What are your thoughts on that one?
First, I got a lot of thoughts. First thing to address, how dare you disrespect longtime Expos first baseman Brad Fulmer
yes.
like that? one of the most average first basemen in the late 90s had Brad Fulmer. There's a name I haven't heard in a while, probably since playing MVP baseball 2005.
Sure, yeah.
Now, let's go right into it, man. Let's talk about just what baseball has been for 100+ years, and that's the shape of a baseball diamond is so different. You go to San Francisco Bay, look at the right field out there. We're even moving it in here in Toronto. Let's see what Brandon Belt does. Listen, I really hope this guy gets his at-bats with us because I think he's going to be fantastic. And he's gotten the last 2 years, he's done pretty good since COVID has kind of been good to this guy. I mean, since that, really put up good numbers at the dish. I think that he's going to be a very effective guy. It sucks. I wish we could bat 11 guys in the lineup to have Belt in every single day. We'll see kind of what we do with guys like Danny Jansen and Vlad having a day off from first base. Probably see Belt in. I imagine Vladdy going to be playing a lot defensively, but Belt's still going to get in at first base defensively. Obviously, at some point this year, listen, I will buy that. It's very tough. It's very tough for him to put up 30+ single day player. But if he starts off the year hot with us and he's doing well, it shows that he can be in the lineup. I mean, he could very well be an everyday player. I know Danny Jansen hits right-handers probably better than left-handers for the most part. So if Belt shows that he can, out dual Jansen, I guess, for the DH spot, Jansen might be just kind of being our backup catcher this year, and seeing Belt play a lot of DH this year. They're being, more right-handed pitchers than left-handed pitchers. I love it, man. That's why it's a bold take. I would have never thought that those words would come out of your mouth on this episode, that Brandon Belt would have the third most as a Blue Jay, as he's probably not going to hit 40 this year, Jesse. But let's look at a 30+ number and roll with it, man. I'll humor you on that. I might not buy any stock.
It's a tough one. I'll admit.
I'll be the first to pat you on the back if you get even relatively close to it, man. I absolutely love it. Belt's going to be a great addition to this team. He already is, with the leadership skills and just the winning mindset, because we want to be a winning ball club this year. How do you surround, a team that's trying to win? Well, bring winners in, and we did with Brandon Belt. Jesse, I love it. I want him to be successful in Toronto, man. So, yeah, love it, Jesse. Love the fact that we're bringing in a guy, and a bold prediction on Brandon Belt, who I hope gets into the lineup more often than not this year.
All right, Riley, we each got one more to go. Let's hit us with your last bold prediction for the Toronto Blue Jays this season.
Jesse, let's go to the outfield. Haven't talked much about outfielders. There's a new kid in town. We paid a pretty decent price to get this guy, and it really seemed at the time that we were missing Gabriel Moreno. Was it really a good move? And then we saw, you and I kind of viewed Twitter, and Arizona fans weren't really happy because they know that Dalton Varsho is one hell of a ball player. They're Arizona, the D-backs are in rebuild mode, so maybe Varsho on that club right now isn't the best thing. Guy's still extremely young.
Yeah, 27.
Great left-handed bat, a power hitter at bat, can run the bases really well, has elite defense. Let me just put it this way. I think, when you think of guys who can hit home runs and run the bases, obviously, like Alfonso Soriano for me is a guy that comes up. He's had a 40-40 year. A-Rod, I don't know if Barry Bonds did or someone. Listen, 40-40 is hard to do. The new 40-40 is 30-30. I'm going to say that Dalton Varsho has a 30-30 year, 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases.
Okay, sure.
I believe that Dalton Varsho can do that. Now, for that to happen, obviously he's going to have to get on base more to have stolen base attempts. He did record almost 20 steals last year. I don't have the number directly right in front of me, but he can steal bases. We know that he's fast. The bases are now just slightly bigger. Let's kind of go off that and say, well, the bases are bigger, so let's move the walls in. He hit 27 home runs last year, and I believe if you can hit 27 home runs, Jesse, you can hit 30 home runs. And now we're going to a Rogers Center that's just a slight smaller, and yeah, I think 30 home runs for him is easy. I think it's the steals that are going to be harder. Maybe I go 25 steals, 30 home runs, but I'm going to call it 30-30. Still very hard to do. That's my highest bar for him. And if he can achieve that, it just looks good. I'm a counting stats kind of guy, Jesse. I know your intellectual mind knows all these crazy things I've never even heard of most of the time. I like what I could read on a baseball cards, and home runs and steals are two of those numbers that look really damn good for me. That tells me you can hit the ball far and hard, and you can run really fast. And I like those as a baseball player, Jesse. I like those as a baseball fan. That's exciting for me. Home runs are exciting. Stolen bases are exciting. Dalton Varsho is going to be an exciting player for this Blue Jays team. 30 home runs, 30 steals. Don't lock it in just yet because maybe he only gets 25 steals, but lock in the 30 home runs for sure, Jesse. And buy it yourself. You want to buy a Kikuchi jersey? That's great. I believe, Jesse, that we're going to see a lot of Dalton Varsho jerseys by June in the Rogers Center, man. Guys are going to love them in Toronto.
I actually think that 30 stolen base number, Riley, might be more likely than you think, because with some rules about like banning the shifts or the disengagements that pitchers can make off of the mound, they can only like pick over once or twice too. And with the bigger bases, meaning there's shorter distance between bags. So stolen bases might be up. Like stolen base attempts and stuff has been up across spring training so far. And think about where Dalton Varsho is going to hit in this lineup. He's probably going to be in the 6 or 7 hole, right? And who are the guys that are going to be hitting behind him? It's going to be guys like Whit Merrifield, Kevin Kiermaier, a Santiago Espinal, or a Cavan Biggio. It's going to be like that type of hitter. And those are going to be the type of guys at the bottom of this Blue Jays order where maybe John Schneider tries to force the action, maybe do a little hit and running or stuff with a speedy guy like Dalton Varsho on base. So maybe because of that alone and where he's hitting in the order, he might be in motion more often than we think. So I think there is a real possibility that he can get to that 30 stolen base bag, and the rest just comes down to his power, right? And in theory, he has a pull heavy approach, shorter fences and everything. The power should be there as well. We talked a lot about Dalton Varsho in our last episode and how where the slumps and the faults might lie, but this is the upside for Varsho, and there's a very realistic situation where 30-30 is quite possible. I think I like this bold prediction, Riley. One of my favorites that you just gave.
Oh, lovely. Well, hey, man, like we did give up a big price for this guy. Love that he's a lefty bat. He's going to fit in well in this batting order. Really, for those stolen base attempts to happen, though, he's going to have to get on base. I really think the shift ban is going to help him to an extent. It's not going to make him a 270 hitter, but it's going to make him a 250 hitter at parts and at times, Jesse. And I think that's important when we're talking about a speed power combination. You have to have a little bit of on base for that speed to work on the base pass, the ability to get on base, or else speed is only really on the defensive side of the ball, which is still very important. Yes. I mean, hey, if we got a 220 year out of Varsho and his defense, we're still going to have a 2-WAR season out of him just on his defense alone. So whatever. But hey, there is a lot of untapped potential. He is really limited in his time in the MLB right now. He's a very new player. He's a very fresh player. He's on a new team, and he's going to emerge with the Blue Jays, and it's kind of the right spot to do it for the offensive side of the ball, and at the right time. With the rule changes and everything like that, he's going to be someone who really benefits from these rule changes, Jesse, in playing in this ballpark at this time. A lot of things going right, the potential for things to go right this year for Dalton Varsho.
Love it, Riley. My last bold prediction, we kind of teased it a little, is going to be a young guy, another guy with, I guess you could say, untapped potential, and that is Addison Barger, Riley, and he has really impressed me so far this spring. And my bold prediction, Riley, he will be a monster this rookie season. He will finish top 5 in AL Rookie of the Year voting this year. And Riley, man, it basically all comes down to how impressed I've been with Addison Barger so far this spring. Guy looks jacked, first of all. He's ready to go. Like, he looks like determined. The work ethic is there. He's ready to go. He hit 308, Riley, with 26 home runs and a 933 OPS across 3 stops in the minor leagues last year. And we mentioned last episode, Riley, that he was a perfect 22 for 22 at swinging and making contact on pitches within the strike zone before he finally missed one. Plus the spring training stat line before the games today, today. He hit 313 and 840 OPS plus. And I know as of right now, as we look at the roster, right, the Blue Jays roster does seem pretty set. He might make the team as like the 26th guy, but like his chance for playing time doesn't seem so high. But like stuff like this always work out. If Addison Barger shows that he could hit, he's going to be in the lineup full time before long. And who knows, Riley, the Jays haven't really had, I guess, a good rookie come up and take the team by storm in quite a few years now, honestly. Off the top of my head, I guess since Alek Manoah's rookie year, I guess, but on the position player side, nothing's really coming to mind off the top of my head. So if he continues to hit like he's done in the minors, the Jays are just going to find his way to get Addison Barger into the lineup, and I think he could excel once he does so. So any thought on that? My last bold prediction.
A guy who has really, impressed a lot of people early on in spring training and still very much has a good chance to make this team. I mean, not all said and done. I also wouldn't be too upset if he got sent down, because he is going to play Major League Baseball this year.
Yes.
I don't think there's a question around it. He's going to play. He is ready. He's got a real heavy swing. He's another lefty bat. He can be versatile in the infield. I mean, as to where he's going to get the most playing time, I don't really know. Also, don't know if he's going to make it because of the plethora of, if you want to move Biggio to just be a first base corner outfielder, I don't know. He doesn't really fit too much anyways, but make room for this guy, because Addison Barger is going to be a future Blue Jay. He's a guy that I hope that we control for a long time and that we use appropriately, because he could be a really effective player. And yeah, top 5 in top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting, Jesse. I mean, I don't want to say that it could be better, because it really could be. It depends on how much playing time this guy gets. I mean, the more playing time he gets, I really hope something didn't go wrong, but he's obviously would have to be playing really, really well. But he has a really good chance. And if he doesn't achieve those numbers this year with the club, then next year, lock him in for a top 3 in MVP, for MVP. For Rookie of the Year voting. Not there. Hey, we're not there yet. We got to get into Rookie of the Year first. Rookie, if he's not in the top 5 this year because he didn't qualify or whatever, then put him in the top 3 for me. I'll buy stock on that for next year in the top 3. I'm just questioning how much playing time he's actually going to get. He's going to get a lot, but he might overplay his rookie status and just not make the cusp on certain stats.
Yep. So those are it, guys. Those are our top 10 bold predictions for the Toronto Blue Jays season, guys. Let us know which ones you like, which ones you don't like. If you have any of your own that we've missed, please leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think. We will engage with you on that. This one's always a fun episode, Riley. Were there 3 or 4, I guess? Did you have like an honorable mention you wanted to mention that we didn't get officially as one of our bold predictions?
Okay. We talked a lot about players. Let's talk team this year. I'm not going to throw out that we're going to, World Series banner. We haven't had one. This will be coming into 30 years now. Geez, old as you, Jesse. That's a long time.
I'm an old man, Riley.
Let's talk realistically for a second, and then we'll address it as the year goes on to our expectations. I think that we can win this division with 95 wins.
I agree. Yep, with you.
I think 95 wins is good enough to win this division. I think the Yankees are going to be damn close, and I think that the Orioles put up a damn good fight. I think it's good for 4th. The Red Sox finish 5th, and Tampa, as per usual, is that 3rd place club for the American League East. I think our team, as of right now, I'm not going to say the result of the series, but I say we're good enough to get to the championship series in the American League. And I will decide as the season goes on kind of where we stand with that. But right now we're an ALCS team. We're a division series contender with the guys that we have, the pitching and the hitting. I'm going to say that we make it to the championship series. That's not really my bold take. That's my expectation. My bold take would be, Jesse, I'll take it from you, what you said last year, that we actually win the World Series, man.
It's been 30 years, gets, right?
It would be very poetic for us to win it. 30-year reunion. It's a long time. You were just, you didn't even know what anything was, and I still hadn't been born yet. So I have yet to witness this event in my lifetime. Jesse would love to see it. Yeah, that would be the boldest prediction you can really get. The other ones just being that my other one would have been something like if Manoah or Gosman finish as high as they do in Cy Young? What do they get for MVP votes? Things like that.
Sure.
Could we have another two guys in the top three, Vladdy and then Gosman, or Vladdy and Manoah, things like that? Because we do have a lot of guys with upside. Just a couple notes on your thought, Jesse. First time in a long time I didn't hear the name Nate Pearson.
Oh, it's coming. Don't worry.
All right, Jesse. Well, then I will stop right now and I will let you move on with this episode, Jesse.
I had the exact same thought. No way our hardcore fans will let us get through a bold predictions episode without mentioning Nate Pearson. So in my honorable mentions here, I was going to say Nate Pearson will be one of our top 3 relievers on our depth chart going into the playoffs this year. So I didn't forget about that. And then some other ones I had were Bo Bichette could be an 8+ WAR player. I kind of already mentioned that when you were talking about Bo Bichette. And then 2 other ones. One I thought was a fun one. Danny Jansen wins the home run derby this year. I have no proof or no numbers to back that up. I just thought, hey, that could happen. Danny Jansen has a good power year. He was a good power hitter. Throw him in the home run derby, see what happens. And then my last one I kind of want to mention, Riley, Shohei Ohtani. He's a free agent at the end of the year. If the Angels struggle again, which they always could do, they'd be dumb to not try to trade Shohei Ohtani and get a haul for him. We know the Jays have had interest in the past. So just keep an eye on that. I mentioned that at last year's trade deadline. I mentioned that this offseason that the Jays have had interest in Shohei Ohtani. So just keep that in mind, because that's going to be the big talking point when we get to the trade deadline this year, is where is Shohei Ohtani going to go? And maybe he ends up in Toronto. So those are like kind of we're not going to actually count them towards our bold prediction score when we recap this at the end of the season, but I just wanted to throw those out there just in case they do happen.
That's fair. Well, I want to throw one more bonus one out because I don't know how I missed this one. I remembered. I'm just running in my head, making sure my checklist is fine. One name I forgot to mention who I think is going to be effective, not now, but when he returns, I think Chad Green is going to be a very good relief pitcher for us when he returns. I think that I'm not going to say he takes over the setup spot from Erik Swanson, because I think Erik Swanson is going to be fantastic. But I think that Chad Green is going to be absolutely just instrumental for us in ball games. I mean, our bullpen looks completely different. Our back end of our bullpen with Swanson and Chad Green. Bravo, Blue Jays front office, for making that happen. Makes me feel really good. It sucks that we don't get Chad Green, for a couple more months or whatever it ends up being. But hey, I'll be patient because our bullpen looks good now. But when we add Chad Green, that's going to be another great piece for us, man. I guess that will conclude my takes. I just wanted to throw the Chad Green one in there because, there are some guys I could have said Hyun-Jin Ryu. I don't have anything on him personally.
I don't either.
But hey,
I don't think he's going to be that good, to be honest.
I mean, we've set up bold predictions. A lot are more bold than others.
Mm-hmm. It's true. All right, moving on to just some news and notes here before we get to the end of the episode here. Just some takeaways, I guess, from Blue Jay spring training camp, because it has been another week since we've talked about this. The first one I noticed, Riley, is Bowden Francis is actually throwing significantly harder this spring, and he actually has kind of dipped the 2-seamer and has started throwing more of a straight 4-seamer. He only threw 4-seam fastballs all of last year, and in his most recent spring training outing, he threw 17, Riley. Velocity was up to 94 miles per hour and touching as high as 96, which was higher than the 92 miles per hour he averaged last year. Something interesting from the soon-to-be 27-year-old. He's going to start the year in Buffalo, but hey, Jays need pitching depth, and if Bowden Francis looks like he's just gotten better, that could be a good thing, Riley. And then some injury updates here. Otto Lopez is dealing with left groin soreness. Drew Hutchison is dealing with left oblique soreness. MRI revealed no structural damage. Ricky Tiedemann threw a side session, and we're still waiting to see how things go before figuring out his next steps. To me, Riley, this Ricky Tiedemann thing just seems like top prospect, getting a lot of buzz, wants to go. I'm sure it's a real injury. I'm sure he mentioned it something, but you always seem to see this. You saw this with Vlad in his big spring. You saw this with Alek Manoah towards the end of his spring training season. Just there always seems to be some type of injury towards the end of spring, so we shut down the, hey, this guy should be on the opening day camp thing. And Mitch White threw a live bullpen session as well, and they're still trying to figure out whether to get him into a spring training game or if he's just going to throw simulated games or not, but Mitch White seems to be ramping up. So between Bowden Francis, Lopez, Hutchison, Tiedemann, Mitch White, any thoughts on those?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory at this point as to where the roles are really going to be as far as the usage of Mitch White. Is he even going to really be on our roster come opening day? Not really sure. Bowden Francis obviously going to AAA, and it sounds, Tiedemann going to start the year not on our major league club, but very well could be at some point in the near future. Don't really want to put a number on it. Yeah, a lot. Hey, man, we talked about a lot about pitchers on this episode, and I would say we are deeper than we think as far as
Okay,
pitchers
good,
go,
good.
Jesse. I mean, I know that the three Barrios, Kikuchi, and Mitch White did not throw that well last year. But if two of them are working, then that's a win. If two of them are league average or are comp to their own statistics in the past, and I am totally good with that, man. And yeah, if Bowden Francis is a guy who's improving, he is a guy who's, you know, just recently been added to the 40 man or whatever, 27 years old, a guy who's going to pitch in Buffalo. But if he does well, he could very well be a replacement level guy. Whenever we may need him, hopefully not, though, obviously, Jesse. So just good takeaways there.
Absolutely. 3 more names joining them in spring training. Adrian Hernandez, Casey Lawrence, and infielder Rainier Nunez was also sent down. None of them will be making the team opening day. And one more point, Riley. Danny Jansen this spring has hit 5 for 29 with only 2 extra base hits. Scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about Danny Jansen's spring training line?
A 0, Jesse.
Yeah,
I am
that's
not
the right
concerned
answer. Yep.
at this point with spring training and Danny Jansen. Let's wait and see what happens. He could start the year off with those numbers. And Jesse, if his first 30 at bats went that way, I would not be that concerned 30 at bats into the season for Danny Jansen. Really
Good.
wouldn't. And it's spring training, so I'm even less concerned.
Yep, perfect. That was the right answer. I was testing you, Riley. You passed with flying colors. Spring training stats mean nothing.
Obviously.
Especially this from Danny Jansen. That'll do it for episode here today, guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. What are you guys at home? What is your bold prediction for the 2023 season? Do you agree with something we said, or do you think Riley and I are insane? Because you wouldn't be completely wrong there. Drop a comment down below. We'll reply with you. Remember to like this video, too, on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. And, hey, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Please do that. We're hoping to get to 1,000 subscribers by season's end, and we are gaining momentum here, and we are hoping for a big thing from our Toronto Blue Jays season here, so you can be part along with us along the way. Riley, we're 11 more days and 1 more season preview episode until opening day. We're so close, Riley. Do you have anything else you want to add before we get out of here today?
Let's finish watching the World Baseball Classic because
Yes.
It's been a damn good one. Just an off note there. We both tweeted separately on our separate accounts how electric the Trey Turner Grand Slam
Wasn't that
was.
awesome?
If you haven't seen the highlights for that, we don't really promote anything, but I like to promote baseball itself, and it's one of the better moments just in baseball when you hit a go-ahead Grand Slam. So good on that. And for the guys that are playing in the World Baseball Classic, it's Jays, and for the Jays in spring training, keep it healthy, be safe. Even if you're not on the opening day roster, you should start your season healthy. It's only you want to, obviously the goal for them, get up to the major leagues. No better way to do it than to start off healthy. And for our major league guys, play between the lines, be healthy. We need you.
That's it, right?
11 days, Jesse. Let's go. We got a long season ahead of us and a lot of good things coming, man.
It's so close. I can almost taste it. I am ready for Blue Jays baseball, and I can't wait to be at the Dome so far this summer. Guys, that'll be it. We'll see you again next week for our official 2023 Toronto Blue Jays season preview.
Thanks, guys.